Good morning, everybody. It is 12 minutes past 7 o'clock. Welcome back to CW Iowa Live. Lou and Jackie here. Happy New Year to everybody. And with that in mind, Stivers, Ford Lincoln, downright proud to salute great organizations in town. And Jackie, I don't know if there's a greater organization and one you have to think about this time of year, especially than the Des Moines Fire Department.
And unfortunately, you guys have been very busy here recently. Brian O'Keefe, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Happy New Year to you, sir. Let's talk about staying safe when it is this cold outside. Because a lot of times you think these frigid temperatures, it's like, how in the world are we starting so many fires around the metro?
Right. Well, it's extremely cold, so people are going to do what they have to do to stay warm.
Right.
And sometimes that is overlooking safety. So, you know, we talk about, always get your furnace looked at. Well, you know, when it's extremely cold, it's running constantly. So that means those motors don't get a cool down. Those belts are being worked heavily. The air is being pushed throughout the house, and it's going to stress your heating system. Fireplaces, people are going to maybe add some wood, maybe let it burn longer. And of course, then we get into the temporary heating.
Because the extreme cold that we've been experiencing over the past several days, we're talking in the teens below zero actual temperatures. You know that as well as anyone. People add additional heaters to their systems. And what's the biggest problem you see with people adding these heating units to their systems?
They're going to add the electric heaters, space heaters throughout the place. They're going to leave them on. Again, that could overload your electrical breaker panels, your circuits. There's direct heat that could actually heat things within the home or overheat it. We have people that go to the extreme of using kerosene heaters inside. And so that's what we want people to be aware of. Have those smoke detectors. Don't leave the house. I was just in an apartment fire last week where people had their ovens open to heat supplemental heat. That's an absolute no-no. If it's electric or gas, especially gas, but either one, do not use your stove top. Some people boil water to steam it up and warm it up. Because if they're living in an apartment and it's free heat or free electricity, some people just crank it and they don't appreciate that it's stressing the rest of the system.
I never thought about that.
Yeah. And unfortunately, the most recent fire in the New York area, they said possibly was caused by a young one just playing around on a stove that ended up killing many people. So little things you want to think about this time of year.
Right. The fire the other morning at the apartment complex was a child that got a hold of some matches and lighters. And those might come out more because it's winter time, and whether they're smokers that are keeping their stuff near the door, or they're using the fireplace, but children unfortunately do play, but we want you to be safe.
Now, one of the things we heard about the most recent fire that we had just not too far from where we are here, there were a lot of people displaced by the fire, and thankfully somebody took them in. But you mentioned a game plan when you were here last week. You talked about having a game plan, a fire plan.
Right. I say be nice to your neighbors, because if something's going wrong in your home, it'd be nice to safely evacuate, go next door, knock on their door, and they'll make that 911 call for you. So you have a plan to get out of the house, meet and gather, but at some point, especially in these extreme weathers, you got to get out of it. So I say get to know your neighbors, be nice to them, so if there's an emergency, whether it's loss of power, medical emergency, fire, you got a place to go next door. That apartment fire, Des Moines fire, didn't respond to yesterday, but in Urbandale. But yeah, you get into those multi-story apartment complexes, you get a top floor, it spreads into the attic, it's not contained, so those can grow very rapidly. And you think about the thousands of gallons a minute they're being pumped out there, and it's very challenging.
Can you talk a little bit about the challenge it is for our firefighters? It's one thing for that poor family or multiple families that have to be displaced when it's this cold and losing your belongings, but how about for a firefighter when they have to fight a fire when it's this cold outside? Yeah,
there's different tactics. You know, any hoses or ladders that are up at the pumps supplying water to, we have to keep water flowing to them. So from the hydrant all the way to the end of the hose, potentially, we got to keep the water flowing to keep it from freezing up.
Yeah.
So the ground area is a challenge.
Got to be dangerous.
You know, water weighs over 8 pounds a gallon, and we're pumping 1,000 gallons a minute. So structurally, we can actually cause damage to the buildings we're trying to save because there's so much ice buildup. I've slipped and fallen, on the fire grounds. The clothing we wear is not seasonal. So we got one uniform to wear. So when they're out there on the ladders or they're doing a exterior attack, it's the same clothing you wear in the summertime. We can't add too many layers. You wouldn't be able to wear your tank and mask properly. You wouldn't have the dexterity to crawl and move and pull. So you can't load up on clothing.
So you freezing cold if you're up on a ladder?
Oh yeah. There's that's one of the worst spots to be. You're standing on aluminum, 60 feet in the air with the wind blowing on you. The only thing that's going to keep you warm is the air if you're breathing out the tank. That's a little warmer than
How long does a firefighter stay in a situation like that, on a ladder like that? Is there a time limit that you have for those guys or not, or gals?
Yeah, the focus is rescue, evacuate, and contain the fire. So at some point, it's risk management, but the officers and the incident commanders, they're aware of the environmental conditions. We're told the temperature and the wind velocity. It's for fighting fires, so we know potentially how much the wind's going to blow up. But they're going to, you just got to be honest and tell somebody, if you got wet, you can freeze up, you can get hypothermic, you can get frostbite. So we need to be careful. We love doing the job, and we're going to be there for you. But there is a little more challenges and
the risk factor.
Yeah.
And that's why we're downright proud to salute our first responders and our Des Moines Fire Department this morning, courtesy of Stivers Ford Lincoln. If you could say anything this morning, I know you've said space heaters, making sure you're not overpowering your systems that you have, make sure they're getting checked. Would it be the smoke alarms, or what would be the biggest thing?
That's the cheapest, best investment you can. If you respect the alarm, have them throughout the home or your residence. Make sure the batteries are functioning. Test them monthly would be nice, but a couple times a year. And when they go off, have a plan. Can I get myself out? Please don't delay yourself for pets or personal belongings. Fires today, new construction, fires and smoke grows rapidly. You get confused, delayed, and then you're inside, where you don't want to be.
Get to safety.
Right.
Brian O'Keefe, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Always great to see you.
Thank you, buddy.
Keeping us safe.
All right, it's 20 minutes past 7 o'clock right now, and we will be right back. This is CW Iowa Live in West Des Moines.